What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to show you something that I've started to implement very recently on the S&P after a lot of back testing and just analyzing what happens in the previous sessions, the previous days, seeing where the market reacts off. There are certain levels that sometimes might not be the clearest to find, but they're actually very powerful on an asset like the S&P, especially for the past months. It hasn't been reacting the cleanest of supply and demand levels. Not just the cleanest, but many times it just doesn't approach supply and demand levels. And yes, it does come to certain support and resistance levels. And the levels I'm going to be showing you guys and explaining how to use it are sort of support and resistance, but they're not very clean to spot, right? Obviously, support and resistance can be very easy. You can just be on the charts and see where the resistance and support is. But there are certain levels that are a bit harder to find, but are actually very powerful. So before we head to the charts and actually find some examples what happened in the past couple of sessions, let me just cover a few points on the slides. So like I said many times, ES does not really come to any supply and demand levels, and it just leaves, especially for me, quite some non-trading days, which obviously is fine. It's not necessary to be trading every single day. I'm fine with that, but there are still big moves that happen on days that I'm not trading and I'm not part of it, and I wanted to know why. So, I've noticed that it really loves to react of opposite structure levels. So these are just made from highs and lows, especially from like the pre-market or the past 1 to 2 sessions, right? Not from very long time ago. It's mostly like very recent opposite structure made of highs and lows from just the past couple of sessions, and a lot of times for the pre-market as well. So what I personally do is I go on the M15 time frame and I map those out using the line chart actually to find those, because it just cuts out a lot of noise for me. And that's just what I do personally. You don't have to use a line chart. I just feel like for me it's a lot cleaner in my mind to look at the line chart and find these levels, so I can, I don't see the colors of the candles and I don't see the wicks and all that. So you can just try it out for yourself and see if it actually helps you out as well. So obviously combining, these lines, these levels, with having a clear bias for the day, as I explained how to find that in the previous video. This can actually give you extra quality setups. All right, so let's head to the charts and actually look for some examples. So as you can see here today, the market, where did it react off? This is where the reversal happened, right? And obviously we're on the M15 time frame, so you could say that this is a small supply, but it's not really a very clean supply. It's not, yes, the sell-off happened from there, but if you just zoom out a little bit, what do you see? You see obviously some levels right here. You see some lows, and if you can look on the line chart, you can see that this low right here. Let me just change the color of this to white and make it a bit bigger. Okay, there you go. So obviously you can see this low, but then if you go to the normal candles, you can see this low has been, we're pretty much touched. Obviously this, you can draw this like this, or it doesn't really have to be a line, it can be a zone as well, right? So you can see that this structure right here, you can see on the line chart, obviously you don't see the wicks here, so this was a bit of a trickier area to find, but you'll see in other examples how clean it can be. So this was a level that I had marked out on. I just didn't find any confirmation to short, but you can see the reaction was very nice. Now if you look on the line chart again, what do we see here? We see some resistance here, right? Intraday resistance. We see a couple of highs here that also aligns with this previous low. Okay, so on the line chart, this was a very clean level for me, and I wasn't really looking to short from this level. So on the line chart, you see how clean it is, but then on the candlestick chart, you don't really see how clean it is, right? It's a bit messy. There's wicks everywhere and closes above and below and all that. But on the line chart, this was a very clean level for me, so I had this level marked out, and I was just waiting for a breakout. Okay, and everything went very quick, and I missed out on one trade actually on the 25th right here. It just went too quick, so I missed out on this buy, which was a shame because I was just targeting this 45, so a 20-point move. My stop loss was going to be around 3 points, maximum 4. That was going to be a nice trade, and I missed out on that. It just went way too quick. I couldn't get in. So these were the levels that I had for today, but pretty much just this one and this one, right? And as you can see, this level is made in the pre-market, and this level was made from the past couple of sessions. So let's go now to yesterday and see what happened there. So as you can see, yesterday we had, it wasn't too clean, but then to find levels, but then you see the market here reacted to the later side from this low right here. So this will be a level that I have marked out for, well, tomorrow even. I'm not going to hold it for the rest of the week. We'll see how the week plays out. Maybe it just goes all the way up tomorrow and goes to this level, but this will be an interesting level for me now. As you can see, this was a low and it got perfectly retested. But then again, on the candlestick chart, it's not the cleanest to be looking at. Obviously, you can draw this as a zone instead of a line, right? If you don't feel comfortable using lines. I think it's quite clean to use these lines, but on the line chart, it just looks very good as just a break and retest basically of this low. So for the rest, there wasn't really anything too significantly clear for this day. But then the previous day, which was Friday, was an amazing setup, to be honest. We had this right here. We had all these highs, and if you look on the candlestick chart, you can see there was resistance for a couple of times, and then it broke, but then immediately reclaimed, retested, and then started dropping. But then the incredible thing here was that you see all these lows right here, right? So depending on how you draw, if you draw a line or a range, you can definitely draw a range. You can see like this. This could be the range, right? You can see all these lows. It also aligned with this high right here and with this previous high. So you can see this was opposite structure. These are levels that I would never be looking at to trade, these break and retest of certain highs and lows. But I see the S&P just really likes to react to those levels. So on the line chart, this was very clean. And then on the candlestick charts, it was, it's a little bit messy right here, but all in all, the confirmation here was very clean. And look at this massive sell-off that happened from there, right? It's not from any supply, or you could technically say this is support turning to resistance, but I just feel like it's not just always a retest of a support or a resistance. It's many times just from highs and lows. As you can see right here, there's a clear low and it just came back, retested, and then started dropping from there. So this was also a very clean example, and price just massively, drops so aggressively. And you can see this happen very often. Like we'll remove what we have right now, and we'll go to the previous day. So this was on Thursday. We had the pre-market. What is obvious in the pre-market that we had these lows right here. So if these lows can be retested, then we potentially could be looking for shorts. We had another area right here, which was a low right here that got retested and made a high here and had a nice reaction of it. So, this is all very interesting to see. And then as you see how the price actually comes back to those lows, and then it took a while for this one to start dropping. But obviously, if you scalp, there could be opportunities to, catch maybe 10 points, or look at that. These are big moves, guys. They're like 24 points just on this move down, right? If you trade with a 3-point stop loss, 4-point stop loss, you can get very nice gains from these levels, right? So, and this is all just from the line chart. So I think these levels are, very important and very powerful, as you can see, especially nowadays. They just react so clean of it. There's not too many clean supply and demand levels to be trading off lately. So, I think these are definitely levels that you need to keep in mind. But for me personally, just looking at the line chart makes it just so easy to spot them. Let's see if we can find some more. Here, for example, we have this high right here, and then we have this low. Obviously, on the line chart, they don't touch each other, but you can see it on the candlestick chart now in a second. Let's just change this. On the candlestick chart, you will see that it retested and then had a reaction of it. Okay, I'm not going to say this is the craziest reaction, but still had a nice reaction of it. Okay, and if you find a sell right here or whatever, maybe this is a level that you can target. Okay, so this is another example of a high, simple high that got broken and then retested again, and this is a good level. And even though this doesn't look like a big move, it's still 10, 11 points. So depending how big your stop loss is, you can again find the trade there. And these are all trades that I would never be taking, just a week ago, right? I've been looking for so long at these levels at the past sessions, and I've just seen how they react now, and I'm comfortable taking on trades based off of these levels now. And that's what I recommend you guys to do as well. Just keep looking at those highs and lows, see how the market reacts. Also combine this with your bias for the day. So for example, here we had a very aggressive bullish day. So the next day I was bullish as well. And you can see right here that there was some lows, some highs, and then lows at the same level, right? So this would be an interesting area for me to look at. And where did the market exactly go to? It came to it twice, right? We had this low right here, and maybe it went too quick to find an entry, but it still had a nice reaction of it, right? It had 11 points, 12 points, and then it came back down again, and maybe here you had more time to find an entry, and this then was the big move, right? If you find an entry somewhere here, well, had a massive move up, right? Yeah. of like 40 points. Yeah, almost 40-point move. Just from a simple line, guys. Just looking at the line chart, looking at structure, and this would be, you know, a trade that I would never be looking at, because here I don't really see any clean demands. Everything is very choppy, you know, very wicky and just in a tight range. So, you know, these are crazy levels. How the market reacts to them, you just need to choose the right ones and just choose the clean ones, right, where you can see on multiple sides just structure. Okay. Let's see if we can find some more. And you can also use this for breakouts, right? Here we see obviously a clear resistance level right here. And what else do we see? Well, I see this high right here. Keep in mind the line chart is not going to be touching always, but then obviously with the wicks they could be. So let's see with the wicks right here what happens. Here you can see that on the line chart, this high right here, maybe you can draw it a little bit like this. And then you can see how the market, you know, broke, retested again here. And then we had these highs obviously over here, which are clean on the line chart, but then on the candlestick chart it's a bit wicky. But then it finally breaks, then it retests, and then obviously depending how you draw, you can also use the candles. You can make it a range, right? This is also something I actually like to do, just make it a full range instead of just a line, because obviously price moves in ranges. So unless you see a proper breakout and then a retest, as you can see right here, nice retest, a nice retest here, and then price start flying from there. So you can use definitely zones and ranges, which I'd probably recommend to do instead of just one line, because the market doesn't move, you know, that precise. It moves in ranges. So yeah, guys, like this is honestly very powerful. And like I said, even for breakouts, I think it was today here for the breakout. Like I said, I missed that trade at the 25s, and I just had this level, and my bias was more to the bullish side. And you know, I didn't find a way to enter, but the analysis was there, and I expected this to happen, and it happened exactly as I was waiting for. I just couldn't get in on it, unfortunately. Okay, but that's just part of the game. But you can see how clear this level was because of this low, and then it got retested a couple times. But these highs, just opposite structure level, and you know, you could have found a nice breakout trade on that. And then obviously on all the other days, well, you can just find break and retest of these highs, or you know, multiple different scenarios. You just need to wait for the right confirmation at these levels and not try to jump the gun too early. All right. So anyways, guys, I hope this video was helpful to you. You know, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this. I've been looking at these levels for a long time, seeing how they react, and it honestly has surprised me for a long time. You know, how many trades that, well, technically I've been missing out on. I'm not really missing out on anything, but now, you know, understanding how the S&P uh, works, you know, I'm understanding it even better by spending just a lot of times doing this, what I'm doing with you guys right now. Just look in the past, see where the big moves come from. Like, why does it react from here? Why does it sell off from here? Is there a supply? Is there a demand? No. Is it a sweep of a high, or go on the line chart? Maybe you can see structure, and this is exactly what I did. And this is why I came up with using the line chart for these opposite structure levels that, you know, don't seem significant, but you know, now I think after this video you can see how, you know, how spectacular some moves are just from these levels, right? So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.